One moment, millions were cheering. The next, they were silent, not because the mission failed, but because it exploded before their eyes. What happens when human ambition races ahead of human caution? And why does it always take a tragedy to remind us of what we already knew? This is the story of NASA's Challenger disaster. It's not just a tragedy, it's a warning. And the scariest part, we're still ignoring it. In the 1980s, space was America's frontier. NASA was more than a government agency, it was a symbol of hope. The Space Shuttle program promised regular space travel, and the Challenger was its next great leap. But this mission was different. Among the 7 astronauts was Krista McAuliffe, a high school teacher, a civilian, a mother, a classroom hero. She wasn't a scientist, she was us, and she was going to teach a lesson from space. It was a media spectacle, news vans outside schools, kids watching from their desks, parents proud, teachers emotional. It was history in the making, until it wasn't. On January 28, 1986, at 11:39 a.m. Eastern Time, Challenger launched into a bright blue sky. 73 seconds later, it tore apart mid-air. A fireball replaced the shuttle. Debris rained into the Atlantic, and the cheers turned to horror. What went wrong? A tiny rubber ring, an O-ring, designed to seal part of the fuel tank, failed. Why? Because it was too cold that morning. The O-rings stiffened and cracked. Now here's where it gets chilling. Engineers had warned NASA the night before. They said, "Don't launch. It's too cold." NASA ignored them. Let me ask you this. If your pilot told you one engine might fail mid-air, would you still board the flight because CNN had already booked their camera crew? But it wasn't just human error. It was human ego, and it cost 7 people their lives. After the explosion, NASA released vague statements. Mechanical failure, unexpected anomaly, the usual. But behind the scenes, a scientist wasn't buying it. Richard Feynman, a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, was part of the investigation. He didn't trust the politics, so he did what scientists do. He ran a test. He dropped an O-ring into a glass of ice water, live on national television. It froze, stiffened, cracked, just like on launch day. One simple experiment destroyed NASA's cover-up. Truth, exposed with a cup of ice water. Turns out, billion-dollar space programs can be taken down by kitchen science. Moms everywhere with freezers. You've got more power than you think. The commission found NASA guilty of rushing the launch, pressured by the media, the White House, and public expectations. But here's what hit the hardest. NASA knew about the problem for months. They didn't just ignore the last warning. They ignored every warning. Feynman's final words in the report still haunt us. For a successful technology, reality must take precedence over public relations. Nature cannot be fooled. Do we listen to scientists today? Or are we still hurtling forward, blind to the cracks in our systems? Climate collapse, AI ethics, data privacy. The modern O-rings aren't mechanical. They're digital and just as fragile. NASA grounded the shuttle program for nearly 3 years. Thousands of engineers retrained, systems redesigned, missions reimagined. And when they flew again, they flew differently. Smarter, safer, more humble. But the Challenger crew never came home. They became more than astronauts. They became symbols, not of success, but of sacrifice. And from their loss, we gained something powerful. The understanding that when ambition meets arrogance, human lives are the price. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. The Challenger disaster reminds us that progress without reflection is just motion without direction. So ask yourself, where in your life are you launching too fast, too proud, too blind? Maybe it's time to pause, to listen, to inspect your O-rings before they crack. Because ignoring the signs never stops the disaster, it only delays it. Now that you've seen what happens when people ignore the signs in the skies, wait until you see what happens when they ignore the whispers in the forest. In Japan, there's a place so feared, locals won't step inside after dark, and those who do, many never leave. Click now to watch The Suicide Forest in Japan, what they don't show you, because some tragedies don't explode, they whisper and wait.